How's it going, everybody? This is the Nitty Gritty. My name is Chad. With me, as usual, is Leonard. This is a show about wrestling or wrestling related things. And as such, we are going to be giving you another movie review. We did one a few months ago featuring Sting. Make sure to go look that up. Um, but we are going to be delivering another movie review for you. This one is called Jungleground. And for those who have heard of it, it stars Roddy Piper. And before we get to the plot, let's go about some of the background here. It debuted on Canadian and US VHS on August 8th, 1995. And it was a distribution deal between North Star and Mallow Film. It was picked up by Triborough Entertainment. Um, it was actually also brought to Laserdisc, Leonard, on October 25th, 1995, and reissued on DVD July 20th, 1999. Apparently, the numbers from the trade publication Video Store magazine, Jungleground, produced a strong return on investment of 164.2% for its rental outlets. So, and the reviews for this, I was actually surprised to see, like, at least according to Wikipedia, the reviews were pretty positive. So, um, I am anxious to get into this, but Leonard, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about the plot?
Sure, and before I get to that, I'll say how we came about to do this because we had previously did I think just one movie before we did Sting's Shutter Speed,
Yep.
and not too long ago I was talking with a couple of friends about B action movies, and Roddy Piper came up, and I mentioned Jungleground. I remember seeing it years ago. It was probably late night HBO between probably 95, 97 when it came out, and really liking it, and had not seen it since, but thinking it was really good. And I kind of relayed what I remembered about it to my friends, and John was like, "That actually does sound pretty good." So I looked for it. It's available on several streaming services, including Amazon Prime, which was I watched it on, and I will say that I did still really liked it, and was kind of surprised about how good it was for the type of production that it is. So I'm not going to get into really heavy spoilers, even though this is a 30-year-old movie. It stars Roddy Piper as Jake. He's a narcotics cop working a really bad part of town called Jungleground. For no reason, they never, I don't think, say why it's called Jungleground. And after the Ragnarokers, and there has to be a band somewhere called the Ragnarokers. The Ragnarokers are a gang that start taking out dope dealers, and a federal agent convinces Jake and his unit to set up a meeting with one of the gang members, Dragon, who is a discount Mario Van Peebles, played by Peter Williams. And after the meeting goes bad, a firefight ensues. Piper escapes, but he's caught and taken to see gang leader Odin, played by J.R. Bourne, who I thought was really good in this. A central theme, as espoused by Odin, is the idea of a straw death, a death that's a waste with no purpose, such as dying of old age or a prisoner of war at a camp and not fighting the war. So instead of giving him a straw death, Odin makes Jake a challenge: escape Jungleground by dawn with no friends, no resources, no clothes. He starts out in his underwear. And if he doesn't make it, Odin will kill Jake's girlfriend, Samantha, played by Tori Higginson, who's a metal sculptor artist, because of course she is. So that's the basic plot. And then it's about Piper trying to get from the Valhalla, which is the headquarters for the gang, to his apartment. And along the way, of course, he picks up clothes, he picks up weapons, he picks up an ally, which appears to be an underage hooker who helps him. There's a great action sequence on the bridge. I like the fight scene between Piper and Odin at the end. But we'll get more into your general thoughts on it before I kind of get into mine.
Yeah, so before I give my thoughts on it here, let's just go over, when this took place in terms of Piper's rap.
Yeah, some general background, which I, because I was the one who said, "Hey, let's do this," and then I didn't really write down any general background, just my thoughts on it as I watched it again.
Yeah, it just occurred to me. I was like, well, maybe we could, add a little bit of flavor by, you know, showing people, telling people when this took place, so they kind of have a little bit more context. So Piper's final match for this period, anyway, was King of the Ring 1994, where he won against Jerry Lawler in what was the last match of that night. That was on June 19th.
Okay.
He wouldn't appear again until WrestleMania 11 the following year as the guest referee in the I Quit match between Bret Hart and Bob Backlund.
Yeah.
And we mentioned this because Piper filmed this movie in Toronto alongside the film No Contest, where he was a supporting character in July and August of '94. So that's why he wasn't on WWF television at the time. So and this was directed by Don Allen, who mainly directed music videos before and after this. Like I think he had a TV movie, but this was like his only big movie to his whole career. I bet I found that surprising because I do think he had a knack for action and pacing. Um, I wonder, his career probably could have continued. I think he had some room for potential, but um, it was written by Michael Stokes, who was at the beginning of his screenwriting career. He still works today, actually. He alternates between B movies and children's fare. He is also a Grammy-nominated music producer, composer, and musician who's worked with Whitney Houston, Tina Turner, LL Cool J, and many, many more. So I found those facts interesting about this little B movie that we have here. So I have not. I've seen They Live, and I don't know if I've seen any of Piper's other movies. I do plan on watching more of them, though. We should just keep reviewing his movies every once in a while here.
He has so many direct, like people when they think of Roddy Piper, They Live, Hell Comes to Frogtown,
Yeah,
and then when he was on Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but other than that, like there's a ton of direct-to-video Piper movies, and I remember seeing, and I might have seen No Contest, and I know that there's a couple others I've seen. I've seen the one with him and Sonny Chiba, where they're fighting like the undead guys on the island. I think it's
yeah,
called
yeah,
Immortal Combat or something like
yeah.
that.
Immortal Kombat, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I've seen a few, but Piper has probably more films than a lot of people realize. He was churning out a lot of these type of direct-to-video type of films in the mid-90s.
absolutely. So yeah, my thoughts on the movie. This is a like your consummate B movie here.
Mm-hmm.
It has just about everything that you could want, save for, maybe some nudity shots. It certainly has one-liners and weapons and action, which are certainly two of the major categories for me anyway when rating B movies. This, going back to categories I listed back when we wrote for the certain pop culture website, Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I mean, I thought that this was fine for what it was overall. I mean, it is a movie that takes from many other movies, but that doesn't necessarily take away from its fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think Odin is what you get if you order Kiefer Sutherland or a Steven Dorff off Timu.
I was almost going to go with Kiefer Sutherland. I was because I did the Great Value Mario Van Peebles. I almost said Great Value Kiefer Sutherland for him. Yes.
Yeah, and so yeah, you mentioned it's played by Junior Bourne. Now, if you enjoy TV of any sort in the past 20 to 30 years, chances are you've seen this guy because he is in episodes of just about everything.
Yeah, I looked him up because I thought he looked half familiar. And yeah, again, he has been in tons of TV.
He's been around forever. He's a hard worker. This is like one of the first things he ever did. I
Yeah.
do think it shows, but nonetheless, you could have had worse here. But some of the user reviews I came across were funny. And that one guy was like, four obvious cops try to bust some drug dealers, resulting in three dead cops and Roddy Piper being captured by Odin and the Ragnarokers. Odin, having seen the Warriors, the Running Man, and Escape from New York,
Yeah.
it'd be fun to hunt Piper, now clad in a jaunty leather vest, through the streets of Toronto. or the Jungleground before he can rescue his metalworking fiance from Odin's twin lady sisters. So let's talk about that for a minute. So Leonard, there's a moment here where the girlfriend does something and breaks free, and I am telling you, like, and then she gets caught again. We'll just say that
Yeah.
it, it would take hard time convincing me that she's not just immediately dead in that moment.
Yeah.
Like if I'm like we're talking about twins here, and like if I'm the one twin that found her, I am absolutely shooting her in the middle of the head right away. But whatever, it's a movie.
Yeah, she's kind of have to. She has to make it to the end.
Yeah. Um. So I also found it funny that there are so many shots of Roddy Piper grabbing people from just outside of the frame, which which I thought was fun. Like it's like in a good way. It's like almost like a cartoon. Like he's just out of frame, and like these guys just kind of wander by, and he grabs them, and does his thing. This other user review said that all the car explosions are akin to nukes exploding,
Yeah.
which I found funny as
Mhm.
well. So yeah, I was watching when I was watching this. I was you're gonna laugh when I start saying this.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, oh wow, this is a Roddy Piper movie. He doesn't immediately go to the wrestling moves, and sure enough, like as it gets into the final act, he starts pulling out clotheslines and suplexes, and I was just like, oh, okay, well, whatever. Yeah,
Well, most of the film he didn't do that.
right, that's true. Yeah, and again, I don't have any problem with that.
Mhm.
I mean, every wrestler turned actor does that. So yeah,
Yeah. I mean, for this type of movie, I thought the production values were pretty good. Most of the action sequences I thought were executed pretty well. I mean, considering the budget and the fact that every car explosion does look like a nuclear bomb went off, that means they had a lot of pyro to work with.
yeah,
I honestly think if you pump a little more money into this, and if you get someone like a Kiefer Sutherland to play Odin, you probably could have dumped this into theaters and done
probably, yeah.
okay with it. The script I think is trying too hard to be clever. That's overlooked when it's like Piper or Bourne delivering the lines, but some of the other actors they just don't sound good at all. The
You mentioned
snooty Dragon,
Dragon.
yeah,
Dragon,
Dragon.
his
Uh,
acting
you
is really bad.
I really tried to like Game Show, his little brother.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that was a creative character in many ways, and
Yeah,
like I won't spoil what
yeah,
happens to him is rather unfortunate.
yes. It's unfortunate. I tried to like. You would think I would like Game Show, but it seems like he was just saying the lines, not knowing what he was saying. Rachel Wilson, who plays the hooker, is not great. There's the snooty gallery owner that tries to hit on Samantha. He's awful. He's like Tommy Wiseau, awful, awful.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, and I thought this while watching it, and then I found the same thing you did. It's like this is a combination of the Running Man and the Warriors and Escape from New York, and that's not a bad idea. I like those kinds of movies,
Right.
and I think that's probably why I like this. The setup is a bit slow, but once we get to like the Running Man portion, I think it picks up pretty good with the pacing. Again, Piper's the best actor here, so take that as you will.
Mm.
Um, I think the whole Ragnarokers hierarchy could have been explored more. I think they could have done more with Valhalla, like the fact that this gang has like this place, that's their home base.
The
I think
fact
it
that
could have
there's a
been,
Vikings themed gang called the
yes,
Rockers is just like outstanding B movie fare. Like that is an amazing name for a gang.
it
And
is.
yes, I wish they would have explored them a little bit more.
Yeah, and I do. You say Dragon's not great, but I did warm up to Dragon more as the movie went on,
Mhm.
and I do kind of like this. It starts ambiguous, Are the Ragnarokers trying to clean up Jungleground for themselves, or are they trying to corner the market on drugs by getting rid of the competition?
Right.
And then how, and that's a subplot, but I think that's a subplot that works, and I like how it's dealt with, and I like eventually how Dragon deals with the situation.
Right.
So I kind of do like that. See here, I've got a few random notes. I thought it was funny when Piper starts out, he's wearing like old newspapers and tin pans
Yeah. Yeah.
and stuff around him. There's a scene where he shoots a guy dressed as a cowboy while sliding down an elevator shaft, and he says "Hi ho, Silver,"
Yep.
which is definitely the yippee ki yay
Absolutely.
MFer part of the movie for him. Um, I liked how the one twin, you mentioned this again. This was in my notes that after the one twin captures Samantha back. I like how he tortures her with the duct tape.
I had that as a note too. I'm so glad you mentioned it because that is a low key, super evil way to torture somebody that I think should be brought back in a different movie. I really do. Like,
Yeah, that was gold. That was really really tense, really good.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, you mentioned some things that made you laugh. I noticed that there were two different guys who missed flying karate kicks while screaming.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Remember
just
one
picked up
right
on that. So anyway, like I said, I through rose-colored glasses remember really liking this movie, and I still do. I think there's some decent ideas here, even though they're recycled. I like Piper's performance. I think again, if you get this a budget, if you hire some better actors, this isn't bad. Part of me wanted to give it like 3 stars, but I'm not going to go that far. I do think it's better than average, so I'm gonna go 2.5 stars for this.
Out of
4 out of 4.
Okay, so yeah, in that vein, I would, because I rate stuff on Letterboxd for those who want to look me up, but that's out of 5 on that.
That's out of 5. Okay, well then, out of 5, I would probably go to 3. Then I
Yeah,
would
I
probably go
would go
3 out of 5.
3 as well. There is a pimp character named Roach who I thought was an imitation of Prince for a minute.
Oh yes, I forgot about Roach. Yes,
Um,
because
so
he's in the movie for like 10 seconds.
10 seconds, yeah, but like the minute he speaks, I was like, are they going for Prince there? I don't know, maybe not. But yeah, the prostitute character certainly is supposed to be underage, and I wish that like she was in it a good bit, but I kind of liked the relationship that they had towards the
Yes.
end. And, I almost wish like because they had to focus on the girlfriend and then they had to focus on her at the end. So it was kind of hard to give more time to either or. But
Yeah, because the very end, the hooker just kind of gets, oh, like a she's okay, like oh she's
yeah,
fine, like that's all you get. That's all you get on her.
yeah. I would probably go 3 out of 5 as well. It's a pretty exciting 90 minutes if you like B movies like this, and if you just watch it because you enjoy Roddy Piper in general, I think you'll have fun with it. Like I said, there's a lot of movies that this draws from, but it draws it in a way that to me is harmless and fun and not necessarily like it's sticking its nose up at anything. Like this is a movie that knows what it is,
Yeah,
and I think that is okay. So
yeah, and again, it was one of those things that I've always thought of. Like anytime Roddy Piper comes up, I think, oh man, I really like Jungleground. So I'm glad that I did rewatch it, and I'm glad that it mainly held up from what I remembered of it.
yeah, he has another one called Sci Fighters, which the title sounds so awful. Like like I that might be the next one I shoot for
Okay, put
review.
that on. We should do Roddy Piper's whole filmography,
That's
except for They Live in Hell Comes a Frog Town. Like
yeah.
everything else.
Everybody knows those.
Everybody knows those two. We'll do everything else.
Which similar similar Roddy Piper note to close us out here.
Yeah.
You can, by the way, Leonard mentioned you can find it on Amazon Prime. I actually watched it on YouTube, so you can find it many places. Jungleground, but after the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight that disappointed most people, I will say.
Yes, we watched it. My wife very much wanted to watch it. She's not into boxing at all, but she wanted to see Jake Paul get throttled, which
Definitely isn't into boxing now, then, I would guess.
no, which is not happen. I had to. I used to be big into boxing because we used to watch. Not only did I watch USA Tuesday Night Fights, but we had everything. We had HBO and Showtime, and we'd watch the pay-per-view fights. So I used to be really big into boxing in like the '90s. So there was a few things I kind of had to explain, the rules and how things were working. But yeah, like I kind of went into it thinking that either Tyson just gets mad and knocks him out in the first round, or it goes the distance because Tyson doesn't have any gas in the tank and Paul won't be able to knock him down.
Yeah,
That's kind of what happened.
I'm not one of the people that usually will immediately jump to it was rigged, it was fixed, it was whatever. But look on whatever social media site you care to. There are some videos out there that really make you think whether or not this was just two guys going through the motions to collect paychecks.
Yeah, which would
Um,
not surprise me. And I want to see Jake Paul fight a real boxer because from the little bit that I know about boxing, he carries his hands way too low.
sure. Yeah.
Like anyone who can really box is going to knock him out like in a first round because he carries his hands too low.
And I think that's what's going on. Like everybody buys his fights or watches them because they want to see him get knocked out, and it just
Yeah,
never happens. And like he's obviously a good marketer, but in any event, somebody on Twitter said that instead of watching that fight, you should go watch the fight between Roddy Piper and Keith David from They Live
yeah,
instead,
that's a great fight.
which is which is what I would recommend as well. Or go watch the fight between Lieutenant Cornell and Odin. In
Odin at the end, also a decent fight, and
absolutely.
we didn't want to give any spoilers, but I do like what happens to Odin.
Yes, yeah,
It
no,
ties it all together. It yeah, plays
there's
off the themes.
there's some good set pieces in this for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, go check out Jungleground. Let us know what you think, or if you've already seen it, please share your thoughts and memories in the comments section. Hit the like button, subscribe to our content, and check us out wherever you listen to podcasts as well. So for Leonard, my name is Chad, and we will see you next time.